It's interesting, so we've talked about starting from not knowing what you're doing and being stupid, which I adore and highly ascribe to. We've got nothing but that. Then we've got, selfish, rude, and manipulative, which is sort of the antithesis of all the talk that we hear about collaboration and everything I hate about the value of committees, and I like that a lot. And you were an outsider at one point as well, because you transitioned over, I think, as a traditional creative into. So then, Doubal, you are now in an interesting situation where you are running McCann London with your partner, Lolly, who I adore, the funny one. But Rob is going to be here doing the 15 minutes, longest minutes of his life. And you've got a great outlook, an interesting perspective on this business right now, which I adore. And I love the challenge that you've taken on, and I want you to talk to us about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. Well, I hope to fuck none of you have paid for this. I'm not a seasoned speaker, and on that note, we're going to be offering refunds after these 15 minutes. Ben and Ben have talked a little bit about what creative bravery is, being stupid and not having silly mantras. I wish to fuck that we had looked at the talks before we'd given our own, but I reckon that'll be rewarding for the audience to see the differences in between. I'm going to talk about something which is actually our day-to-day. So it's actually, the weird thing about creative bravery is it's really easy to do yourself if you've got it and you want it and you're brave, and it's basically not even worth mentioning. But if you're trying to inspire creative bravery in others, then it can sometimes be quite hard, and I'm going to try and talk about that for about 10-15 minutes. I've done some digging around on the subject, and Jesus Christ was really good at this. He managed to, he's not just big in Europe, right? He's quite big over the world. And he was very, very persuasive. This was a guy who told a couple of stories. I hope I'm not offending anyone. He was genuinely inspired a lot of bravery in this world. But this power, it can be abused. And this is Mussolini. He also managed to persuade a lot of people to do certain things, as did Gandhi, and in fact Churchill. And when I was trying to figure out why were these guys so persuasive, how did they persuade so many people to behave in such a brave way and to change their lives? And I did some digging on the internet. And they all had one man in common, and this man was Aristotle. And not in a kind of child abuse way, but in the way that Aristotle highlighted 3 modes of persuasion, right? So if you've got to persuade any number of people to do anything, no matter how big and small, he said that you need to do 3 things. You need to have pathos, logos, and ethos. And some of you might be familiar with some of these. If so, shut up. It's my talk. Pathos, you have to appeal to the dreams. And to the emotions of people. Logos, you have to give clear reasons for, and ethos, you have to be a credible source. And if you don't have these 3 in combination, then persuading people to do anything it probably won't work. So I just wanted to, against the advice given by the other 2 talkers, take this quite seriously, and just apply this to what does this look like in advertising. So the first is pathos. Appeal to the dreams, to the emotions, and evangelize creativity. I spend a lot of time doing this in a deadpan way for my job. And actually, in any size of company, whether it's marketing, advertising, or any business really, it's very important to do the simple things. And it's very important when you're evangelizing to gather everyone together at least once a week. Have like a Sermon on the Mount type thing. And this is a time to tell some stories. For example, not many people know that John Hegarty actually bought a vineyard off the back of just adjusting the kerning on one print ad. And this was him being a stick. This is creative bravery. Or that in fact Dave Droga started his old agency after losing a bet in a dockside bar. Or in fact our very own Colleen took the big job at Wyden's after telling Dan that he was completely past it. And well, you know, one day maybe there'll be a big story attached to Ben Mooch. Maybe. Who knows? We used to work together. It's fine. It's fine. I've been waiting for a live stream to slag off Ben. So when you have everyone together, it's important to lead them in a prayer. And one of the prayers that we give quite often, and very apt for this talk, is that creativity is the source of all goodness, the antidote to all problems, and fundamentally the most important ingredient of our industry's success. Amen. Now, I know I'm standing up here with a clicker and a picture, and we just whacked it on, but I actually believe this stuff. Actually do. Like, our industry without it is nothing. Nothing. That's our product. Amen. Look, I'm getting all emotional. When you have everyone together as well, it's good to have a very simple mission. And when we arrived at McCann, we actually stole a mission, which sounds a bit low, but the Captain Kirk one for us just summed up everything we needed to do at the time. And this was, we set out to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. And again, it seems like, geez, what's this asshole on the stage just pulled up a Captain Kirk quote for? But if you apply that to every single thing you do in that day in that agency, actually probably whatever business you're in, then you're going to end up changing something, and you're going to end up having a more interesting day, even if that comes down to choosing between tea or coffee or where the hell do I sit today. Just change it, get a new outlook, and it will end up leading to new stuff. It's kind of the be stupid thing, right? And also, if you're a writer like I am, you try and encapsulate all this into proverbs. And unfortunately, I prefer Ben Mooch's now. I like the Be Selfish one. We have a few. Focus on the horizon. It's very easy to get caught up in your own feet and listen to your own hype, but it's quite, try and look where things are going. Best idea wins is we've had this thing, the word creativity does annoy me because it's actually just ideas and thoughts, and actually wherever those ideas come from, whatever, they'll probably be more interesting another way. And finally, fortune follows fame. And this was a big one for RFD, but if you just focus on the product and the product's good, then the fortune will come. It's also about creating some behaviors, have some fun, and I mean this in a very, very fucking serious way. Have some humility. I went to see Werner Herzog talk a while back, and he says, what would he say? He was saying that at the end of the universe, when everything is finally disappeared and there's nothing but blackness and the earth is gone, the stars are all out, and there remains nothing. In the space where the earth once was, all there will be is this little sense of stupidity. And I thought that was I find that really enlightening, actually. People might find it terrifying, but I think it's a really nice to learn that actually we're not that important, so therefore, why the hell aren't we being braver all the time? And then a final one, pursue only the interesting. Like it's just do interesting things, and you'll end up in an interesting place. I think a lot of the time, Ben was saying it, you know, the number of times we're sitting in rooms with people talking, like not even interesting shit, just a lot of necessary shit, but you need to cut through that and pursue only what's interesting, and you'll end up at an interesting place. And to exemplify this in an amazing way, I've got loads of pictures with the same words on it. And finally, I'm on to the second section. Oh, it'll be over soon. Logos. Give clear reasons for use logic and educate. So you can stand up and talk nonsense like me, but actually at some point you've got to convert this into logic. Otherwise, nobody's going to believe you. Peter Field has done a lot of work with the awards in the IPA with the impact of creativity on effectiveness. And actually, it's been his data shows that it's 10 times more effective if your work has been creatively awarded. And I think it's partly to do with the work gets sent round. But I think having this ambition to make awarded work increases the effectiveness. This is a truism, but it's one of my favorites. Most things are average. And if you follow that to its core, you just end up with entropy, right? You're going to get nowhere with your own business or the clients that you're working for. If brands are stagnant, they die, and we have no business in the end. So it's actually our duty to pursue the amazing. And this gets me to this point, and the point of the whole discussion. Is it really that brave to do your job properly? Because I think they can't really be uncoupled, right? Creativity is about doing new things, which takes a certain amount of bravery. But how brave is it really? Because if you speak to any decent agency or creative, then that's what they're trying to strive to do naturally. Like, I think it's why heroes a lot of the time seem so blasé about saving someone from a river. You're like, hey, why'd you save someone from a river? And they're like, well, what? It was the right thing to do. It's hardly brave, you know? And I think in the same way, it's not brave to do decent creative. That's just what creative is and should be. Also, there we go, our duty is to do amazing. And it's important as well, if you're taking people on a journey, to prove that what you're trying to do is possible. And actually, there was a big spike in McCann's output when Dumb Ways to Die hit, and suddenly realized it was from an office in Sydney to do one of the world's most recognizable pieces of work. It's possible everywhere. And then here in London, we've got to prove to our agency too, so they keep listening to the bullshit we spout, to prove that it's working too. And we found that the more images of dolphin boats that we show, it's actually really well correlated with how much new business we're winning. And we're proud this converted, and the number of awards we're winning. So, the facts are there. And then ethos. So again, you can get the first two sections right, but you have to be a credible source, and I guess that's where I fall down. But be a credible source, support what you teach. And then this is about getting a bit dirty for the people you work with, and you've got to lead from the front. That doesn't mean doing all the work, but you need to be there. If you're asking people to come on a journey with you, you've got to be on the end of the phone. You've got to cover people. You've got to work the hardest, actually, and put yourself on the line. And that's a big part of the bravery. It's about supplying air cover to your staff. And actually, you get to these moments, again, it's just being honest with what you're trying to achieve and who to. All the time now, we just stare our clients in the eye and say, we're trying to make the best work for you so you get the best possible results. There's nothing else going on here. So you have to be really transparent with the people you're working for and with. And then this word creativity is still annoying, but the only way you can treat it seriously is to invest in it, right? So we spend a lot of money sending people on a cab service to private views, or getting people in to do teak talks, or just making stupid art installations. It's very important to take the ridiculous very seriously and spend money on it. And once you've done all these three things, the pathos, logos, and ethos, you have to do that again, and you have to keep on doing it and keep on doing it. And this takes a lot of energy. And so my one bit of advice through all that is pause occasionally. And when you pause, that's the time to hire people, because every hire you make is a bet on your future, so it's the bit you should be most careful about doing. And that is the end of my talk. There you go.